Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 153 of the On Air Advocate. Where at the On Air Advocate, we look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Tammy Flynn, and I am the host and producer of the On Air Advocate. And I am super excited if you are joining us here early this Thursday morning, or if you are catching this on the replay. Now, as always, if you think any of the content that we are talking about today could be relevant for anyone in your network, in your circle, please hit the share button and share the love with others. Well, if you have been following the On Air Advocate Facebook page, you know that today is World Mental Health Day and how important mental health is in all aspects of our life. So I am so excited to welcome this very special guest with us today, Chou Hallegra. She is the founder of Grace and Hope Consulting, LLC. Good morning, Chou.
Good morning, Tammy. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I am so excited. I know that you have not been on this platform before, so excited to have you here and extract all those golden nuggets from you of information. But before we get started, could you tell the audience just a little bit about your background and yourself? Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did. It was just a little slow motion because my connection probably did something, but I heard it.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Good morning. We all move slow. So a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So like you mentioned, I'm the founder of Grace and Hope Consulting, and I'm both an author, speaker, and mental health and ability consultant. So I work with people individually, with families, with businesses, with churches, with nonprofits to help people achieve mental and emotional wellness, reach their full potential, and live fulfilling lives. So sometimes it's counseling, it's coaching, it's professional development. Sometimes it's just sitting down, figuring out what resources people need. So I might wear different hats, but always coming down into those three umbrellas, the mental health, the potential, and helping people enjoy life. So thinking about not just life at work. People think about potential, the fact, well, just what I can do in my business or in my work. But even leisure is an important part of reaching your potential. So making sure that people have this leisure activity that make life enjoyable for them as well.
Right. And that all, if you look at like a nucleus, that all comes back to mental health.
Exactly. Yeah, you got it.
On a daily basis and practicing that. And I know for this platform, we really speak so much to the community of those with different abilities, mental, medical illnesses, and their caregivers, which is normal life is stressful, but that is a very, very stressful environment that so much of the time in all aspects, whether you're the one that's dealing with like a chronic illness or a different ability, or you're the one caring for, there's so much stress that is put on that. And so mental health is of utmost importance at all time. Would you say that in seeing in your practice?
I agree. Yeah. And the stress that, like you said, life is stressful, period. And then the more things we have to take care of, the more layers of stress we add to our plate. Mm-hmm. So then, we have to be even more proactive in taking care of ourselves. Otherwise, then we crash. And when we crash, the people who depend on us don't have that support. So, yeah.
Right. Like they always say, if you can't take care of others unless you take care of yourself. And so today, with it being World Mental Health Day, and I hope that everyone does something for their mental health today in that self-care way, however you bring that around for yourself. I know that you were going to talk to us this morning about 5 ways that you can improve your mental health at home, in the workplace, in your community. So I would love to hear those nuggets from you.
Okay, sure. So I think the first thing that we can all do to improve our mental health personally and actually collectively is to start talking about it. Mm-hmm. I think when we don't talk about it, we increase the stigma. And when we increase the stigma, then nobody wants to talk about it at all. And then the people who are struggling the most with it don't feel empowered to reach out because, it's a taboo. People see us weak. And that's like so not true. And I hope that we all know that. So let's start talking about mental health as part of our physical health. They're all integrated. So if if you broke your leg, going down the step, you have no problem telling people, hey, I have a cast because I broke my leg. So we should be comfortable sharing about it and saying that, well, today I'm having a tough day. And mental health, when people hear about mental health, they think it's just people who have a diagnosis. No, mental health is just, it's that, it's health. And we all of us should be wanting to improve our health. So if you're having a bad day, mention it at work, mention it with your family, to your family, talk about with friends. But in the same time, like as we're talking about, then we're breaking stigma and help us also verbalize, what we need from others. The second thing I want us to to also do is to emotionally prepare for what's coming. And often people, at least in our modern or Western societies, what we do, we'll get life insurance, we'll get car insurance or medical insurance. We get those as guarantee in case something happens. Right? Nobody, gets out the house like, I'm gonna have a car accident today. Nobody does that, right? It's like, but if I do, thank God I have, car insurance. Well, how are we preparing for emotional distress? How are we preparing for the emotional toll of just living, or of the emotional toll of caregiving? We
That is
don't do
so
that.
true.
Exactly. So I tell people, myself included, be proactive. If you know it's going to be a busy day for you, make sure you're getting enough rest. Make sure that you are eating properly, you're drinking properly, that drinking enough, that you are doing all the stuff that you need to do to feel like you are grounded. Because like we said, life will be stressful no matter what. But at the end of that stressful day, of the end of the stressful event, you want to still be standing. You still want to be not feel like
Right.
you went to the ground, or that you're depleted, or that you're just like defeated even.
Right.
Right.
And,
And
we just chatted about that before the segment started, is that, today we have a big medical team meeting. And so I got up extra early getting prepared so that when we're done with this segment, that I'm not like, like
exactly.
crazy
Yeah.
mom gone wild, running
Right.
around, putting more stress on myself than needed, when just making some of those proactive steps to plan and prepare for the things that you need. And I drank my vitamin C this morning.
Yes,
I did.
yes. Awesome. Yeah, and it's a big way of preventing, stress in life anyway, and we all know this, like we think about physical health, that prevention is key, right? But when it comes to our mental health, emotional wellness, we often don't think that way. Right? If
Right.
I know I'm gonna have a big day, I make sure that I even block out my day, that I don't add more stuff to it. Because if I, today for me, it's a big day for me. So I cancel a lot of things. I made sure that today was a day where I only did things that really pertain to what I'm doing today, like to the big event I'm having, so that I'm not like you say, running 10 million directions. And even with my family, talking about it with them. Hey, this is what's happening tomorrow. This is what support I need from you. And that takes me to the third point, is seek help. We live in a society of me, myself, and I, and we think that we have to do things alone. And if we ask for help, we might appear weak. I believe asking for help is a strength,
Yes.
because a strong person knows that they've tried everything they could do on their own, and to preserve themselves both mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or preserve all the resources, they seek help so they can actually excel, or exceed what they can do on their own. So seeking help is a strength. um
And,
and that
and
was
speaking
three.
to that, and speaking to that, not to get you off of the numbers, but I always tell people too, within my business circle, I guess you'd say, outside of this community of different abilities and health conditions and all of that, within your business community too, it is so important in everyday life to identify your strengths of what what you are strong at and what your weaknesses are, so that you can achieve more. If you don't identify inside of yourself, like, I'm not good at, what I'm saying, writing text, I'm not good at it. So, I can practice and I can maybe develop a little bit better, but am I going to be good as of someone who is a writer every day? No. So in my business world, I'm going to seek somebody maybe that has more, technical skills in that, computer skills if I'm not great at that. But I think sometimes we do, you're so right, within parenting, within life itself, work, we get so caught up in feeling like, we have to do everything.
Right. But
Mhm.
that even what you said, even in the business world, how much stress do we put on ourselves trying to do all and be all?
Mhm.
Right? And
Yep.
that doesn't help your mental health. Like, it increases your anxiety, increases your blood pressure. You probably can't sleep. You're stressed out. You're losing hair, maybe, and all of that doesn't help anyone. At the end, you're doing yourself, your clients, and even your business a disservice by trying to do everything.
Right.
So definitely you don't have to do it alone. Seeking help it is so important. And it's even the smallest thing. And so often I see, people who have struggled like having boundaries might be trying to do everything for everyone. That's not healthy either. You gotta have to find that balance, right? So as people are asking for help, if you're on the over end of it, making sure that you are giving them the help for things that one is because too much for them to do right now, or they cannot do on their own, or right now, just if they're going for a tough time, they might be able to do their own groceries. But if they're going for a tough time, you picking up their groceries for them actually, lessens the stress that they're dealing with, right?
Yes.
And
Definitely.
that actually is my next point, is being supportive. So if all of us are supportive of each other, then nobody has time to be pointing the finger, oh, they're struggling, so that they're less than. We don't get to that point if everybody's supportive. Right. If you see
Yes.
someone that's struggling in anything, it might be a coworker who came to work late today, and you're like, oh, they got here late again. Well, you don't know. Maybe they had a flat tire, and that they don't have extra money to buy to buy a new tire, and they have to figure out how to make it to work. So just being supportive, I guess what's the new cliche here? It's be kind, right? but
Right.
but in being kind, I think we have to go beyond that. Not just being kind, say, oh, I get it. Oh, I'm sorry. No, do something about it.
Right.
Concrete support, even if it's just being there. If you cannot, the friend who had the flat tire, maybe you cannot help them buy a new car, or a new tire, but you can sit with them until they find help. You can maybe give them a resource. Maybe you have AAA, and you can call your AAA and help them, get what they need to be. So be
Right.
supportive of one another, I mean, for all of us. And
Right.
with one, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, okay. No, I was just going to speak to that. Yeah, that is so important. And yes, we do talk about that all the time, right? We talk about being kind, but what does that really mean? And are we actively participating in our world, in our life, of really doing that and making those active steps every day? And this is my favorite saying in the whole world. You
Yes, I love it. I
we
love
need to
it.
we need to empower ourselves, and others to do that, to be like, that one little thing you do can
Mhm.
significantly change someone's day, someone's life, a word that you speak, a helping hand. But we actively need to be involved in it, not just talk about it.
Yeah.
So
And,
true.
yeah, and even when I that made me think of a story I heard at a conference, a year or two ago, where a young man was really, like, he was so depressed and was start thinking about taking his life. And he actually was sitting, I think it was at an airport, um and someone just noticed that, someone who never met him noticed that something was just a little off, and they came and just said, hey, how are you today? And for him, that was it. A stranger taking the time to check on him. So when we're supportive, that's what happened. It's not just saying, oh, they look sad over there, I won't look at them. No, that's not helping. Do something concrete that actually helps, letting people to know that you care. Because
Yes.
what gets, the whole reason we celebrate this World Mental Health Day and Mental Illness, Awareness Week, and all those things, it's so that people stay alive. Because mental health has become this epidemic where it drags people to the over extreme, where no people who are struggling with mental illness or mental health challenges no longer want to live. And so all of that, we have a lot of days, a lot of months celebrating this. It's not about just celebrating for the sake of celebrating. It's really, bring it down to what people need to stay alive. And I
Right.
think if we're supportive, that's the best we can do for all of us.
And I think, we were talking about that yesterday. Yesterday was National Stop Bullying Day, and really actively being that voice. And we can have all these days, right? But really, what are these days? World Mental Health Day, Mental Illness Week, Mental Health Month. If
Yes.
we're not willing to really embrace that and listen to some of this context that's going on, read some books, take in a new article, listen to someone else's perspective on something, grow as people, what has really changed?
Definitely.
Nothing. These are days to raise that awareness, to talk about things for us, because knowledge is power, and it helps us to move forward in much better ways. But yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah. So my last one is to connect with others. And yes, when you're being supported, that forces you to do that. But I think on the over end as well, for someone who is struggling themselves, emotionally, being intentional about connecting with others kind of breaks not only the stigma, but it breaks that loneliness. Mental health challenges makes people isolate. It
Mm.
just kind of the nature of it as it is. It's not what they want to be alone. No, people don't feel well, so that they presume they'll be better off being alone. But when people are alone, that's often where things happen that we don't want to see happening. Was it last month? I think it was that a pastor actually who been an advocate for mental health, mental wellness, and been sharing all across the country, the world, telling people that we have to be more support the people with mental health challenges. He died by suicide, and that really bothered me for so many days. It's like this was an advocate who was talking about this, and people knew he was struggling. Why was he left alone to get to that point?
Right. Right.
Because we assume that if this is what we do, that we are just like, I don't know, we nothing phases us. No, some of us do this so we can stay alive, because in advocating we find our voice, we find meaning, we find purpose, and we keep cruising away. But that's where those connections come. Loneliness is honestly like the number one reason people get to the point of becoming suicidal. It's not the money, it's not like all these things happen. People can be stressed about money, stressed about work, they can have some things going on biologically where the chemicals in their brain are out of balance. All of this can happen. But the last, very like the tip of the iceberg, that one thing that gets them to get to think about not wanting to live, is when they realize nobody cares, that they're all by themselves,
Right. Right.
that they're all alone. So if we start breaking loneliness for all of us, then we start feeling more supported. Then it's easier to ask for help. Then it's easier to learn how to prepare ourselves emotionally, and it's easier even to talk about it.
Yes.
So
And,
all the
I
5 points I said, go back to that last one, definitely. Sorry, go ahead.
yes, and I always say that so many people, especially when we're classified as strong people,
Mm,
just because we carry it well doesn't mean it's not heavy.
yeah.
And if I forever, I'm always like, you know what, a quick text message, a quick call, a quick, hey, are you okay? You can never ask someone if they're okay enough. How are you? You can never get annoying in asking that question too many times. I mean, how many people look at their messages and are like, I can't believe she asked me if I was, having a good day or how I was, or caring enough to take the moments to pick up the phone and reach out and call. So, whether like this pastor who went around preaching and advocating and had this, strength behind him, just because you stand tall, you wake up every morning, you can still smile, doesn't mean the load on our shoulders is not heavy. So I always say, don't ever make assumptions.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that if we have those connections. So what happened when people are in crisis, like they're in a tough moment and there's no one around, that's honestly, it's so sad to see that. But a way to prevent it is to build those connections when things are well. Start attending different clubs, what things that even, it doesn't have to be a mental health thing. Like if you love to read, attend a book club at the library. It helps you connect with people. Go play chess, go find friends on Facebook with common interests. But make sure that you're expanding your support system. And in my well, people, I never met them. I have friends I never met physically that we met online and who support me in a way that you won't even believe it. Right. So it doesn't have to be someone who can physically be there, but someone, like we say, who can, once you establish those connections, then you have someone who will be checking on you. And sometimes even do for people, like what I encourage people, if you know that so this is something you struggle with, like feeling alone and feeling down, then you want to create part of that prevention plan, having people who can check on you if they have not heard from you for maybe a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
That way you're being proactive. And those that I'm thinking about, you say like the pastor, that anybody even doing that, you know
Right.
yeah. So we
And
all
because
need that.
everyone thinks, oh, he's around, he's advocating, he's strong. Why am I going to check up? And even, and I have found myself, in the world of mental health, I have 4 children that have, dealt with different mental health issues and stuff as well. Because I think that there isn't anyone that doesn't have something, that doesn't have sad days, that doesn't have overly
All of
happy
us.
days, frustrated days, whatnot, that deals with something. I have found with myself that everyone's like, oh, you got it. You got it. And even if I say, it's really rough, I'm sad, they're just like, all right. Because people don't know, if you're that strong person, a lot of times what to say. I'm like, you don't have to say anything. You just need to be there
Yes,
to
yes,
listen,
yes.
you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, that's so true. Being there is more important than saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just sitting beside someone, I wrote an article maybe a year and a half ago that just said, "Will you just sit with me?" And I was surprised people start picking that article and went all across the country, because people so it resonated with people. It wasn't like somebody fixing the problem, somebody having it, helping them with X, Y, and Z. We're just somebody being there.
Right.
Don't ever understand. Don't ever think that your presence is not as effective as anything else. So I think being just the blessing of presence is more effective than any word you can say.
Right. Because a lot of times those words, as we know, a lot of times we're not looking for anyone to solve the problem, because sometimes the problem can't be solved at that
Exactly.
moment.
Yeah.
Just knowing that you have someone that's on your side, that has your back. And I don't know if anyone that's up this early in the morning, if you're catching this live versus on the replay, it feels that same way. And having that supportive system around you, I think that's so important. I think so many times people think you're seeking an answer from them, for them to solve your problem, but really you just want somebody to be next to you.
Right. And I
And
think for all of us, what I've seen, to people like, well, I didn't know what to say, so I didn't. I know like I even for myself, I've had friends will message me months after, like, big event happened in my life, or my life of my kids. So I've been thinking about you, but I'm just sorry I didn't reach out, 'cause I didn't know what to say. I'm like, how about just saying, how are you? I'm thinking of you. Yeah, you can just say that. I'm thinking of you. It encourages someone else.
I know in all of our mental health awareness organizations, that are out there, are big ones. I mean, there is such a campaign out there that says, which I was saying before, is that you never can ask somebody how they are too many times. And I know for a lot of us parents that are on that special needs, journey, and spend a lot of time in the hospital and whatnot, if the doctors don't have an answer, I mean, you're not looking for an answer. There's nothing that's going to solve this equation. It's just somebody caring enough to know that they're thinking about you,
Exactly. Exactly.
for that. So you are speaking my language, Chou.
I love it.
So, those five, if anyone was listening, if we can drop those below. If not, maybe when we're done with this, if you have just some top points, some top words for those five, we could drop them below
I
in the
can say
comments.
repeat it now too, and then so the one was talk about it,
Mhm.
emotionally prepare for what's coming next, seek help, be supportive, connect with others so you can break loneliness.
Awesome. Awesome. And so, in other news on World Mental Health Day, I am so excited that I have the privilege and the honor to be like the first interview of the morning on the day that your big mental health book has launched. And
Yes.
so I was like, that is the coolest thing ever. I'm so excited for you and all of the other authors that are involved. And so I just want the audience to find out a little bit about the book. I know it just launched this morning, a few hours ago after midnight. And so can you share a little bit?
Yeah, so the book we're talking about, it's Made for More. That's the title, and this is the mental health edition. So it's actually going to be a series. And the first book in the series, it's a mental health edition. And in this book, there's 16 of us, myself included, who share. We're sharing our stories by talking about it and breaking stigma. Literally, we are breaking stigma one story at a time. So we're sharing how we have, had mental health challenges, but how we're rising above it. And so there's people talking about depression, anxiety, addiction, even sexual abuse and over traumas, and saying that all of those things don't define us. Those things happen, those things we're struggling with, but we're still living and thriving. And that's the message we want to send to people, that there is hope. Even if you get a mental health diagnosis, it's not a death sentence, and it should not be. And there's a lot of us out there who live with mental health, diagnoses, and who are still kicking butts. So you can do the same. And like in the back of the book even say, we are rising above, so can you.
I love it. And I love that title, Made for More. That is awesome. Did you come up with, where did that come? Was that a thought in the shower? People say they have their best thoughts when
But that was, I'm not sure why, if it was in the shower or not, but I came up with it. So initially I was planning on writing this book alone, how just to kind of empower people to know that, they're made for more. Like your circumstances do not have to define you.
Mhm.
And as I was writing and I'm like, hitting that writer's block. I'm like, just something is not flowing. I think this is not my book. This is our book. And I'm like, oh, who's our? Who's us, right? And just like that, I send out a couple messages to people. Before I knew it, I think it was 48 hours, we had 16 people altogether who committed to it. Yeah. So it's been, so then I'm like, we can't stop here. And so we're doing a mental health edition. And the next one is on chronic illnesses, which I know that mental health, a diagnosis is a chronic illness, but I wanted to touch base on people who struggle with diabetes, sickle cell, and some, cancer, like all those things that are not just a common cold. People don't realize how, again, this impact your mental health. At the end of it, that's what it's like you say, everything I do goes back to that. So it's going to see how it's impacting people. And then after that, we have a caregivers coming out, like single moms. So it's going to be serious how we're going to talk about those issues that people often not that they don't want to talk about it, they don't realize the impact of not talking about it, what it does to all of us. And then others then feel like there's no hope, they're all alone, and we want to break all of that.
Yes, all of that stigma. And, it is so true. Embracing your story and sharing your stories and these 16 individuals, that are doing this, and how that can change for somebody. Because so much of the time we think that we may be alone in this box, or, okay, well, they had that story, but that's not, how my story went. And finding somebody that has any of those similarities sometimes brings things full circle for you, and then also impacts you to want to share. And whether that's to a friend or that's in a book form, I feel like there's nothing better than being able to kind of expel that from our bodies.
Yes.
Many ways. So with that, I'm assuming that today there'll be lots of great stuff going on for the book.
Yeah, so we have a launch party on Facebook because there's 16 of us, we're all over the place. There's actually one in Canada, and then the over 15 of us are in the US, but there's people in Virginia, people in PA, people in what's the other one is in I can't think, San Diego. So like we're all over the place. So we can't physically make it happen, in one place, although we're still hoping to do that one day. So we're going to do it on Facebook. So on Facebook, what we're doing, we're sharing. I'm going to go live at 10 a.m. Eastern time and just kind of announce what the project's about, how we came to do this. And then every half hour, there's a video from one of the authors. So everybody gets to introduce themselves, share why they did this project, and a message of hope that they want to leave their readers. And that just gives me chills even. Like I was uploading all the stuff last night. I'm like, oh, I'm crying. No, I'm not crying. You're crying. It's just, yeah. And I've written many books. Like this is my 13th book in 15 months, but it's still like the best project I ever worked on. And I just can't, It's just,
well, congratulations, and congratulations to all of you. I'm excited for this series and to have you back on again for us.
Yes, definitely.
We have chatted about mental health and caregivers and how important that conversation is as well. And so next month, you guys can watch out. We might have something coming up for that, for Caregiver Month. But are you able to, when we get off of this live, kind of drop that watch party, like what Facebook page that's going to be on?
I'll drop it up on Facebook. I'll put on the
in the
comments. Yes.
Yeah. In there. And then if people want to check out your book, find out more about it, whatever links there are to that would be awesome.
Yeah, so it's on Amazon. Actually, we hit Amazon bestseller list at 4:30 this morning in Eastern time. So it's like, oh, we didn't even launch the book yet, and it's like, yeah, we're #1 bestseller. So it's awesome. And what we were even saying, like among our offer group, was that we wrote this book honestly to give people hope, but at the end of the day, is to prevent suicide. It's so that people don't feel like they're hopeless and lonely enough that they don't want to live. And guess what? We hit #1 list, #1 bestseller in the suicide category on Amazon. And I'm like, I can, hallelujah, right? I'm just like,
Gosh,
I got chills.
you're gonna make me cry this morning. That is so awesome.
So I already cried. I screamed so loud, like literally. I got up. One of my another friend who was part of the book. She saw it first on Amazon and messaged. So I get up and see this. I screamed so loud. I scared my daughter. She came running, thinking that I was having a health crisis or something. So I'm like, no, I'm just happy. But yeah, it's like yeah. And for me, like even if we didn't hit the #1 sale, like the message is out there, and that's what's most important. But I'm glad that we now are ranked, #1 in that category where we want to touch the most lives.
Yes. Let's end the stigma. And today for World Mental Health Day, follow along, on Chou's pages, but also, I would say make it a precedence today that you reach out to at least one person and ask them, how are they? Somebody you haven't talked to in a while, somebody that, might need it. And, I can tell you personally how much that is always appreciated.
Yeah.
So any other final thoughts? Before
I think you stole my thunder, my thunder there. That was the last one I had too. Now let's see, we're both crying. that was the last one that I had, was literally reach out to someone. And I even make it a practice, not just today. I do this randomly. Like usually I have a personal goal every single day to reach out to at least 5 people. And I know that might seem like a lot, but with technology, honestly, the first message could be the same message that I copy and paste 5 times, but then after that, I can have a conversation with someone. Hey, I'm thinking of you today. How are you doing? Yes. And I can send a messenger. I can send that, anywhere, email. I can send it in the text. But I can't tell you how many times friends and people will be like, wow, I just was having a rough moment, like right this moment, like right now when I got your text. And although you did not solve my problem, it just felt like good to know that someone cared. And I didn't even know what the problem is. You don't have to know what the issue is. People just seem to know that they're not alone.
Yes, that is right. That's right. So on that note, I thank you so much for sharing all of this with us this morning. I feel blessed and honored, like I said, to have you on for your book launch day, for World Mental Health Day, and sharing all of these different strategies and ways, because we all need it. Yes, you are not alone. And I am positive, I don't even have to ask you, but I'm sure on her pages and her instant messenger and whatnot, if you need other questions answered that maybe you don't want to put in our comments underneath this live, reach out to her personally, and I'm sure she will address it.
Definitely. Yeah, please. I tell people, reach out any way you can. And even like if you're on my page, I even tell people I give my business number actually goes straight to my phone. So even if you want to text, you can text as well. And I want to make sure that, just like it can be said, nobody's ever left feeling hopeless. And if I can't help, at least I'll be there to listen and connect you to someone else who can help.
Thank you so much for all of you who also watched this morning, or if you are catching this on the replay. If you want to know any more about the On Air Advocate, you can head right on over to onairadvocate.com and find out about all of our resources and services there. You can also head up to the top of this Facebook page, hit the blue button, and that will let you into our private community. So on that note, thank you so much, Chou. Have a great launch party. I'll try from the doctor's office to be watching, but I should be paying a little bit of attention, but I will try.
We'll be thinking of you too. I know it's a long day for you. We'll be on our thoughts. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And everyone, reach out. Let's end the stigma and really embrace and support World Mental Health Day. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. Happy Thursday.